Well, welcome back, and I'm excited to have an old friend, old co-host, panelist, Al Sinclair from Remax.
Yeah, Remax Hallmark.
Remax Hallmark. Yeah. Al and I did a lot of episodes of Hot Property. People have said, you got to get Al on the podcast. So here we are. You're our first realtor, probably the one and only to have on here who knows everything about real estate on TV. He's seen everything. We've done hundreds of episodes.
We have. I remember when I first came on, doing Hot Property, I was a little intimidated because they had Tribute Homes. They had a vice president from Tribute, but they had Vince Gaetano on there. And I was, I knew Dave Curry from hockey, so I knew a little bit through Dave about you. And it was a little intimidating, coming out with the big shooters.
We had Ann Romer.
Ann Romer, what a beauty! Yeah, I still talk to Ann the odd time.
Oh, she's up in Collingwood.
She's up in Collingwood. She keeps threatening to get a real estate license, which would be that'd be interesting.
It would be.
And she was
intense.
Funny. The first show I did, she was hosting the show, and the first show I did, she said, "Al, you're going to sell my house," and I go, "I'm going to sell your house." She says, "Well, you're not going to sell it. You're going to buy it." And I don't know her from Adam. And so she says, "No, I want to put my house in the market, but I don't want to go through all that. So I want you to buy it." And Ann didn't know me, but I guess she, I don't know, trusted me or whatever, but she didn't know me. This was a place in Riverdale. And so I didn't want to burn a bridge, and I didn't want to rock the boat with Ann because I thought she could make my life miserable if I didn't get along. So I bought the house, and I came home and I told my wife, Janet, I said, "Janet, I just bought Ann Romer's house." And she goes, "You what?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You know what, Al, that's probably a good business decision."
I got to reach out to her because she was an incredible host. If there's one thing she did really well, she knew how to handle a panel. Yeah. She was a pro.
She was a pro. She and the only thing with Ann, she would ask us questions and she'd answer them before we could get to them.
So she knew the answer. We did it too long.
Well, we did it a long time. But the other thing, she was always pro rent, and because she was renting, and I did a lot of leases for her. But she was always pro rent, and I'm not anti rent, but I like people to own places. I mean, that's the way the real estate business works. And she always, got her back up about me not being pro tenant. But we loved Ann.
I did that show for 19 years, almost hit 20. You're still doing it.
Still there.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit. Now they're taping, they're not going live, so it's a little bit different. But what were some of the highlights doing those shows?
Well, I mean, it was live. So when the phone rang, you didn't know what you were going to get. Yeah. And I've got a bit of a combative, I guess, from hockey. I don't like to be insulted and I am insulted, but I don't like it. And, but I have to remember I'm on the air and we were talking to almost 3 million people.
Yeah.
And so this one woman phones in and she's just laid into me. And she was, hates real estate agents. She says, "And you're just one of them. And she didn't know me, but she just went up and down." And I'm smiling and I'm just doing this. And the call ends and Ann is red as a beet. And she goes, "Al, did you hear that?" And I said, "No, my microphone went off." she goes, "That's a good thing." And I heard later what the woman said, and it was a good thing, but my microphone went off. But we would get calls. I mean, a lot of people, they would call in. They were good questions, but some would call in and they were under the influence and they were interesting.
I'll tell you the funniest story I had with Ann, and this is how much of a pro she was, right? Back in the day, we were in the city newsroom before Rogers sold it off to Bell and stuff. And her teleprompter was this kind of gadget that looked like a microphone that she would roll based on the pace she wanted the teleprompter to go at. And this caller comes in. We didn't have any tape delay, right? So this guy calls in. He goes, "Hey, Ann, how are you? It's Mike from Mississauga." And she goes, "Oh, Mike, what's your question?" "Ann, is that a dildo you're holding?" and she didn't skip a beat. It didn't register for what. Did I just hear what the guy said? She goes, "These funny people, we got to go to the next caller." Like, just a pro knowing how to deal with it.
Yeah.
It was just funny, but that was probably the most hilarious moment I had on that show. It was a lot of fun.
And it's funny doing the show over the years. I'm okay with myself, and actually it's funny because the first time I did the show, I was pretty excited about it. And
I remember that day.
It was brutal.
You were nervous.
I was nervous, and someone told me. Actually, it was Paul Mitchell who works on my team, and I think Mitch even did the show once. But he said, "Al, I watched the show." And that's not Al Sinclair. He says, the Al Sinclair I know in the dressing room is the guy. And he says, like, just talk on the show like you're in the dressing room. And I go, wow, that makes sense. Because, you're trying to talk to, you're visioning 3 million people in a big room. And you go, no. You're just talking to 2 or 3 people. Yeah. And so I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to try and pretend I'm in the room, because besides, being in an offer presentation, I'm most comfortable in a dressing room. Yeah. And it's funny, in a dressing room, if you want to hear the truth, it comes out. Now, sometimes it's not politically correct. Of course it's not, but it's the truth.
I always found the most fun we had was during the commercial breaks. All the bantering back and forth with all the hosts. But you've been around a long time. You've seen cycles. Mm-hmm. You've seen how this market could change. And, you've talked about how, you were in a market when things were bad.
Yep. Wrote a book about it.
Yeah. What do you think of the current market? What do you think we're facing with a lot of people overextending themselves? What are you finding is a big issue right now?
Well, first of all, we need help. We need help from the government, and we're not getting it. I mean, they're sticking it to us. And look, I'm not allowed to really get political on that show, so you don't.
Hey, you can do it here.
And I can do it here. Although being in real estate, you don't want to go out and pick a party, because you'll lose 50% of your clients, or in Canada, you might lose, 75% of your clients. So, but I will tell you right now that this government, the Liberals in federal government, what they're doing with the capital gains tax is they just don't get it, because they thought they'd go after the rich. Well, if you did your homework, it's not just the rich that own second properties, or cottages. It's the middle class, and even some poor people that want to get ahead. That's the way they can get ahead. Yeah. And we're sticking it to them. Like properties that I've owned for 25 years, they've got their hands in my pocket, and they're, and they want some of that money that I've worked for. So they don't get it. So something's got to be done there. But back in...
And to that point, Al, like, we don't have pensions, right? We don't have...
You're looking at it,
right? We have to create... I'm in the same boat, right? We're establishing a pension fund for ourselves, because when we retire, like CPP and old age aren't going to cut it.
No.
Okay? You need additional income sources, and rental properties, investment properties, and that sort of type of investment are what helps us get to that retirement stage. Yep. and allow us to continue living the lifestyle we built up to live. When you have everybody in your pocket, it gets fucking frustrating, right? And I don't buy into only 0.13% is impacted. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
We saw that clip on the news just recently, the old lady who had 2 properties that's going to get dinged $40,000 because of this capital gains increase. Yeah, there's going to be people out there saying, Vince, you got enough. Well, how much do you need? Well, you know what? I worked hard for it. I paid my taxes.
It's none of their business. It's your money that you've worked hard for. You've dealt with tenants.
And it's frustrating, right? Because we're providing a residence for people. Mm-hmm. I think we're fair landlords. I want my tenants to enjoy their space, and I want to be fair.
Yeah.
But how much more do they need to take? And the city politics doesn't help either, right? They're just NIMBYisms, and this high density is not going to happen.
No.
And they're just putting up roadblocks, slowing the city down to a crawl.
Yep.
Nobody could go anywhere.
Well, as I say on the show all the time, the government's got to stay out of real estate, because they'll screw it up every time. And that's what they're doing now. And whether they know what they're doing, or, I know they don't know what they're doing. That's why, we're in the situation. But back in the last time we saw things really rough was in 1989. And it's funny, because I started buying income properties back in 1985. And I wrote a book about it. And I couldn't have wrote the book during that period because I was humiliated because I basically went broke.
You've talked about it before.
Yeah, when I was 26, I was on a beach in Florida with the boys in a tournament down there. And in an hour, one of them said to me, Al, because I had 48 houses, and this was in 88 when things were moving along. They said, Al, in the last hour, how much money did you make? And I went, 26, right? I go, I think I made $5,000 this hour. And, and that's, I wasn't a realtor yet. I was, basically I was just a slumlord. And so then what happened, the problem was I had 48 houses, but to get 48, I had an equity base of 7%.
Because it was a different world back then.
But interest rates were 24%. And when I was too young and stupid to know that I'm living on an edge because the prices dropped 10%. I'm now
underwater.
I'm underwater. So I was worth about $5 million at that summer in 88. Well, the next year in 89, we're down there and the market had changed. Things had tanked. And one of the smart asses says, Al, in the last hour, how much money did you lose?
Probably more than
I think I lost about $6,000. But I got my real estate license and I started selling, all of a sudden this new kid on the street's got all these listings. They're my own houses. So but the reason I got so many houses, there was a thing, and I'm not sure if you remember, but there was CIBC had a program and mortgage was assumable without qualification.
You just have to take over the house.
Yeah. And the guy before, so you'd pay him an extra houses at that time were about $75,000. So you'd pay him an extra $5,000 and he'd be, okay, great. You just gave me $5,000, but he's still on the hook if you go bad.
Yeah.
And but
that was a marketing tool, assuming mortgages, right? Like everybody was doing it because no one could pay.
Yeah.
So if somebody was willing to make the payments for you, sign it over.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
You're still on the hook on the covenant, which is the mortgage.
And that's the thing. And so when, people were starting to go south in a hurry, it was falling apart. Now I know since, CIBC got rid of that, but that's how I was, I bought 98 houses in my 20s and that's crazy, but
it can't happen today.
It can, but not me, not someone with no money.
Yeah.
But but what happened was I ended up, it cost me my marriage because my ex-wife couldn't live like that. And it's
hard.
It was really hard. And so that went south. And I almost, got out of real estate because I had a real bad taste for it. But I go, you know what? Suddenly I've got all these listings and I kind of like this. So I was working for Suncor. I quit that job and I got in as a real estate agent. And looking back, man, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Well, 89, 90 was an interesting time because I started with TD Bank at that time. And I was in the mortgage department, but not the fun part. I was in the mortgage recovery unit, meeting with the bailiff and taking over homes. So it wasn't a lot of fun. But what it did teach me is that shit does happen and things could go bad. And I think we lived in a market where people didn't think that can happen.
Yeah.
When you live it like we did and see the pain and the shit that can happen, it gives you perspective that, hey, it's not always a fun ride. It could happen. The house I bought, I'm the third owner. And I've told this story a few times. The original owner bought it from Bramalea Limited that went bankrupt and paid $1 million and change for it in 1989. It closed. It was a new construction. It closed in 1991, January 1991. The second owner bought it for $580 in 1998.
And what did the previous owner buy it for?
$1.05 million.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow.
We were the third owner in 2004, March 15, 2004. We paid it $880.
Wow.
So 14 years went by
Yeah.
and it didn't even recover.
Yeah.
Now, it was a different market. The unemployment was high. Interest rates were at the levels that they were at. It was crazy and things didn't really move much.
There was no stress test.
There's no stress test.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing today is, people think things are going to bounce back fast. Now, certain markets will do well. There's communities and pockets that will always be desirable by buyers. But it's not every market,
Yeah.
right? And people are looking at what the government's doing. They got their hands in everything. They don't want to charge property taxes, so they incur all these additional land transfer taxes, like the double land transfer tax doesn't help. We have all these development charges that are driving up costs. They've really fucked it up.
Yeah. Well,
right?
The difference being is interest rates are like, like when I was going through a struggle, I'm making payments of 24%. Like you're making payments right now of 5 and 6%.
It's not a whole lot.
That's historically low, and so it's not like it was in in 89. 88 was just booming. I mean, we were just counting the money. 89, it started to go south, and it continued to go south for 5 years. So till 94, we were in pretty much a recession, and it was tough to sell. As an agent, you weren't making really very much money. And right now, agents are still doing very well. There's still a lot of sales out there. So this is nothing like this.
Well, I remember doing the Hot Property Show, and we started in February 2002 when it first started. And I never thought I'd see the 5-year rate at under 5%. Right. And I remember when it hit 4.99, Ann and I were like, holy shit, Vince, you always didn't think that this rate would drop.
Yeah.
Because it was always floating around 6, 7,
Yep.
And, it went into ZIRP, zero interest rate environment. And it created that just FOMO.
Yeah.
People, you have to get in. And they took on a lot of debt. And here we are dealing with it. People just couldn't keep up with payments as they went back up to a reasonable level, really. But they bought in at the bottom, not realizing things could go up. And, how do you see things shaping up?
I used to tell people when I first got into real estate, it was a 1 to 3 year program. Like you get a house, if you own it from 1 to 3 years, you're going to make money and you can sell it and make money and go on to the next one. Then it became a 3 to 5 year program. Right now, I see when you buy a house, it's probably a 5-year program or more. That it's solid. The market, is going to be fine because of the stress test and what you guys are doing a great job keeping everybody honest. I mean, It's not like we used to just roll in, with an intent and you'd get a mortgage and it was, no questions asked. And we probably shouldn't have got them. But I mean, I was buying places with credit cards, back in the day.
It was wild.
Well, I remember, it's a funny story. I sit on a plane and and the only credit card I don't think I had was a TD credit card. So you probably approved me or probably came after me. So I'm on a plane with Paul Mitchell.
Okay.
And I go, Mitch, I said, I got to get this credit card because it gives me $5,000. And this is, I'm desperate and I'm paying my bills, but you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah. So I go, I get on the plane. And I'm sitting beside Mitch, and we're going to Florida for this hockey tournament. And I said, Mitch, I gotta get this $5,000. I need this $5,000, and it'd probably carry me over another month. And he says, TD. He says, who are you talking to? And I go, Linda Hill. And he goes, oh, I think I can probably help you out there. So he says, give me the phone. So I was on the phone. I give him the phone. He says, it went well. Paul's been married to Linda for 30 years.
That helps.
So it helped. And actually, Paul works on my team, and she's been a good friend and client. And now she comes down to Florida with us all the time. But that was a struggle back then. It was unbelievable. Like I didn't sleep, and I sleep well. I didn't sleep for years because I would just wake up in the middle of the night going like I'm going to lose everything. And when you get things back, you don't want to lose it again.
No.
And that's why I'm really pissed at what's going on with the government right now, that you have the nerve to come in and say, I'm going to take, when do we start taxing the people for trying to get ahead? Yeah. Like, let's go after the bad guys, but we're going after the people that are trying to earn a living and get ahead by buying an income property, I see what my wife does with our condos, deals with these tenants, good tenants, but she has to deal with them. And, whether it's rent increases or, they're giving notice, which isn't, maybe it's kind of a bit short, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of hand-holding. And then the government's going to come in and say, yeah, we're going to take 65% of that. And too bad. This is not good.
Everybody wants to have their fingers in the pot, Every level of government wants to try to do their thing. I personally don't think they're going to do anything, right? I don't think they're going to be able to build the homes they say they're going to build, because government doesn't build homes.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's going to be up to us to increase density, repurpose homes from single family to 4 units. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like every project we're doing and helping folks in, this government is putting up roadblocks to make it more difficult. There's the building code. Building code used to be this thin.
Yeah.
Now it's this thick.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. Like,
and who's going to build these homes? Like, want to build it? Kids today don't want to get into the building industry.
Yeah.
It's not cute.
It's a lot of work.
It's like, a lot of work.
We're doing it. I think we're building some pretty good property. We're trying to focus on 2 and 3 bedroom units.
Yeah.
So they're 800,200 square feet. They're big, nice homes that a family could raise their kids in.
Right.
They're building the wrong condos, like 300-400 square feet. Like it's getting ridiculous. And they're just trying to chase development charges when they should be building bigger and more appropriate homes for families.
Yeah.
But I digress. I want to understand what the sentiment is of the clients you're dealing with, from a first-time buyer to an investor in this marketplace.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a difference between that first-time buyer right now and that investor?
The first-time buyer will always be a bit naive. Always, they want to get into the market. It's emotional. They have to own property. So that emotion is always going to be there. The first-time buyer I'm okay with. I haven't really seen that change, because there's always, buyer's remorse. Yeah. There's always a bit of nervousness. That's not going to change. But because of the economic environment we're in right now, I'm not really seeing that with the first-time buyer. I'm seeing it with the investors. The investors are who are more prudent. They're sitting back saying, you know what, we're just going to wait this out. And why would I get into the market at these prices when, and this is what they were saying a year ago, oh, why should I buy now when I can buy next year cheaper? And they were right. The prices did come down a little bit. And I didn't really have as a salesperson, I like to, I'm not one that's going to try and talk somebody into something, because it's just not my nature. And you go on TV with a phone-in show, it's not going to go over well. So you can't be doing that, but it's not my nature anyways. But the investors have basically said, we're going to sit this one out. And they have set it out, and they're starting to come back. Thank God. They see light at the end of the tunnel, maybe Wednesday, maybe July, but they see, light at the end of the tunnel, and they're starting to come back. So I talked to a gentleman after hockey tonight in the parking lot, and he says, Al, I got to get into the condo market now. And I said, you've probably got about 2 months, because right now I think there's going to be a little bit of a lull for 1 or 2 months, and then prices are going to start to go up, unless everybody decides to list their place now, because now's the time they're going to make money. Well, that's just putting, water on the fire, and that will put it out. And we're going to, like in March of 2017, you and I did the show, and it was in one day, it was March 17th, 2017. In one day, everybody decided to list. It was just a fluke, but everybody decided to list, and it killed the market for about a year. We were going through a boom then, but after the 2 years we've gone through now, if that happens again, we're in big trouble. Yeah. Big trouble. That cannot happen. So as I say on the show, look, I don't make money if I don't list and sell houses. But I'm saying to people, if you don't have to list, then wait it out. If you're trying to get rich, then wait it out, because right now we're going to flood the market. And that's probably going to be the case for the next 6 months. But if people are, they back off and they only sell if they have to sell, then we're going to start getting more buyers than listings. Right now we got more listings than buyers, so that's not good. And so we're maybe at a balanced market right now, but we need more buyers. We need less listings, and that's the predicament we're in.
What's your take on the cottage market?
Well, I bought one 4 years ago, probably.
It's
a nice cottage. And you did the mortgage for me. Thank you.
It was a beautiful place.
Yeah, but it's so I track it a lot. I mean, it's what we call dead money. It's family money now. It'll stay in the family. The kids will never let us sell it. Problem is we work weekends, so we're not up there very much. They are, but we're not.
They're enjoying it.
The cottage market is starting to come around. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, you couldn't really get a lot of deals, but in the last 12 months, there was deals out there. And those deals, those people have waited it out, and now they want their money again. So I would say the deals you've probably got this summer, and cottage market's always a little slow in the fall. So you've probably got this summer and the fall. Next year, look out. Prices they're not building any more waterfront. No. And so next year, you're going to see prices start to come back. I think ours probably went down a little bit since we bought it. And now I'm seeing comparable sales. And you're seeing the odd really luxury condo out there getting big bucks. So it's starting to shift. But I think you got 6 months of some deals out there.
So since we did the show last, which was, I think, January 2021, they brought in some new bylaws. Garden suites, laneways. What's your take on it?
Yeah, actually, I've sold quite a few of them. I've got a customer, and that's what he specializes in. They're really popular. I mean, if when I first saw it, I go, "This is."
You got to see it to believe it, right? Like that's the key.
And they're nice. Like a lot of backyards, wasted space, people, and a lot of cultures coming into Canada, into the GTA, they don't want a lot of land. They don't have the time. They're hardworking people, but they want money. And so they're looking at their backyard saying, instead of, a pool or, I used to look at a pool and go, that's sweet. And now they look at a garden suite and go, that's sweet. That's what they want.
You know what's interesting? An interesting phenomenon that's happened the last month and a half. We've been getting a lot of calls from folks that have aging parents, and they're wanting to put a garden suite or a laneway suite in to attract better quality personal care workers.
No.
So, and I got one call, two calls, and I got about a half dozen thinking, hey, if I could get a brand new garden suite, it's a way I can attract quality personal caregiver that could be on site, look after my elderly parent, right? And I could now have an advantage by offering something no one else can.
Yep.
And it's a separate unit, and it's starting to take some interest on more and more families starting to realize I don't want to sell the real estate. People want to age in place. And this opportunity is starting to really pop up. Well, and more.
And in fairness, the Ford government is allowing this. They're pushing them through. So they're saying, you can now sever your lot. Where I have 170-foot frontage in my house, and we can't sever it. Well, they're changing that now. We want more density, and they're doing the same with these laneway homes, these garden homes. They're giving approval. And when I go in on appointments now, one of the first things a lot of people will try to do is say, "Oh, this has got potential to be a garden suite," or this could be a laneway home, and it's really caught on. So it's something that's they're not building any more land in Toronto either. So if you've got something, make the most of it. And people have psychologically accepted it. At first, when it came out, we're all kind of going, "I don't want some creep in my backyard,"
Yeah, but now people are getting used to it,
and now they love it. They think it's a great idea. But the builders that have done it classy. Getting the permits, getting the zoning, getting the permission to build these suites, and the finished products. I see a lot of them are brilliant, really nice.
So you think this is going to really take off?
Yeah, it's already taken off. It's going to continue, because not every property can have one, but the ones that do, it's much sought after.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. More and more lenders are opening up their policy to have that secondary unit in there. Appraisers are starting to give it a little bit more value, and we're pounding the pavement trying to educate. We got a number of projects on the go right now where we're converting single family to 4 units with laneway garden suites. And it's an education. We have to continuously get these lenders out to see the quality, see how well they're presented, how great they look, how big they are. And it's starting to take hold both in the lending community and the appraisal community, because you need to get that value back with the money you're putting in, and more.
Well, it reminds me back in the 80s when we started to, everyone wanted a man cave. Everybody wanted a rec room.
Yeah.
And now it's basement apartments. I mean, I live in Scarborough, and Scarborough, if you don't have a basement apartment, you're not going to get the top dollar. But at first it wasn't as acceptable having a tenant in your basement. And now it took off, and now it's the norm.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be the same with the laneway, the garden homes, that it will become the norm. I think you're going to see a lot more houses with it, and the way a lot of our basement apartments weren't very stylish, but these garden homes they're over the top, and they're pretty sweet.
So I got one last question for you. How much longer are you going to be doing hot property?
As long as they'll have me, because although you've been through it. Every year we got to negotiate, and it's not getting cheaper.
No.
It's I don't get paid to be on there, but I have to be a major sponsor, and I'm just a small guy. I'm not a big company, but as long as the numbers work, I enjoy doing it. It's amazing, as you know, wherever you travel in the world, people come up to you in airports and restaurants, and they know you, and that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not going to get that for being a hockey player, that's for sure.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. So we're at the Keg Mansion. The kids and Rhonda took me for my birthday, and there's this. I know he's a rocker. Okay, he's in a band, and he's sitting at the table next to me. And I said, Rhonda, I think that guy's been in a band somewhere. He's looking at me, and he gets up, and he says, "Hey, I know you." He said, "You know me." I'm trying to figure out who you are. He goes, "Oh, I'm Sean Kelly from Crash Kelly and Helix." And
okay,
he's a bass player for Nelly Furtado. And I was blown away that he recognized me when I'm trying to figure out who he is. And the kids in Rhonda were just laughing about it. But it does happen.
You got to be careful what you wish for. So here's the story. I'm driving along Queen Street in the Beaches, and this guy is, driving reckless. He's reckless. And so I get up to the light, and for some reason, it never fails when you're cutting in and out of traffic. You never get ahead. So he ends up hitting the light, so I pull up and I roll my window down. And I said, "What are you doing?" I go, there's a school right there. And he goes, "Al, hot property." And I go, "Have a good day." Roll the window up. So you got to be careful what you wish for. But I'll keep. I can't believe. I can't believe how many years I've done it now. Maybe
it's been a lot of fun.
07 or something like that. But I remember when I first interviewed for it. A funny story, Greg. Actually, there's a guy that saw me in the parking lot after hockey today. Greg Trout. He was my first salesman, and he came in. They interviewed the top 5 agents in the city at the time. I don't know how I was one of them, but they interviewed me, and they go, "Okay, we want take you to the next level, meet the vice presidents of Bell, because we think you might be the new face for." Remember the guy before was listed with Dan?
Ellenswig or something. Ellenberg.
And I never met that poor guy, but anyways, he didn't take it well when they replaced me with him, and about 20 years ago. Anyways, so I go, they go, "We want you to be the new face of hot property," and I go, and my wife's there. She's orchestrating the whole thing, and I said, "What's this show again?" And the vice president looks at my salesman, goes, "Is this guy for real?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Sorry, I've never seen the show. I don't know what it is." And he goes, "Well, what are we doing here with him?" And I said, "Well, look," I said, "When's the show on?" He goes, "It's on Fridays at 5:00.
That's right. That's when it was still 5:00.
And I go, I can't do this. I have hockey Fridays at 4. And my wife looks at them and goes, "He's such an idiot. Just he's doing it." And I look back at what I was going to walk away from, and I shake. Because that show it's been so good for business, but most importantly, it's been so good for my clients. The properties I put on that show, Vince, they get record number of viewings, which gets more offers, which gets record prices. So for my clients, people that are watching, Hot Property works, and it will get you more money for your property because of the viewership and because of the amount of people that are going to go to see your house. And I look back and I go, sometimes I'm just an idiot.
It was a lot of fun, though.
But you know what? It's funny. I'd go and have my little indie house down the street.
Yeah, that's where we used to always hang out.
Have my meal. That was my pregame meal.
Yeah,
and it was almost like playing hockey. But I'll miss it. I'm sure you miss it.
I do. You know what? I took the kids down there. We had them all down there at one point or another, and it was a long run. It was a long run, and we also sacrificed a lot of time away from our families doing it.
We did.
And when they went Thursdays at 7, you miss a dinner with the boys and the family once
Yeah.
a week. It's tough. But nonetheless, I'm glad you came back. This is a great little reunion.
Well, thank you.
And we got to do it again.
Absolutely.
Thanks again,
Absolutely.
bud.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Man. Anytime.
All right.
Thank you.